Hi everybody, welcome to activity 3 in creative reuse for preschoolers. This activity I've called NESTS, and it's pretty much a three-dimensional weaving activity using readily found objects and materials. Pretty much all you need is some cardboard, but some corrugated cardboard, so I'll explain that to you in a little bit. If you don't know what it is, and also some of this stuff which no doubt you've seen around. It's called packing strap, and you can find this anywhere really, outside the back of places like hardware stores or retailers that sell white goods. It's used to hold boxes together. It wraps around boxes and keeps them extra secure. But it's an environmental nightmare because it's really super tough and quite strong. Actually, that's probably too strong to use. You'll find that some of it is extra hard plastic. You probably won't be able to use that with little kids. Like this one is super shiny. That's probably not appropriate. But often the blue stuff is quite soft and flexible and very thin. And this is really important for what we're going to do next. Comes in all sorts of different colours. Some of it is sort of paper-based. This yellow one is paper-based. It's not all plastic. If you can see in there, it's got a paper core with plastic on the outside, and that's quite useful for this activity as well. The main thing is to make sure that you find some that's very thin, because we're going to strip it down. I'm going to show you how to do that. But the first thing we're going to do is cut the basic shape for the nests that we're going to make. The good thing about this is it's all sort of related to nature, so it opens up lots of discussion about nature and birds and how birds survive and how animals make nests and homes for their young. So you might be able to tie it in with some sort of activity that you're doing in that regard. The main thing is when you cut the cardboard, you can just use any old box, it doesn't really matter, but as long as it's got these little corrugations in it, it's called corrugated cardboard. Now you'll notice that if you look at it closely, it has a grain and it bends really nicely one way. Along the grain it bends really well, but across the grain, if you try and bend it across the grain, it doesn't bend very well at all, and I'll show you. See, like that. So you can test the grain by trying to bend it. If it bends well, that's the way we want it. Well, we don't want to cut it that way, we want to cut across that bend. So look for the little corrugations there. And that's the bit we want to cut along that line. So I'm just going to cut strips of this, like that. I'm just going to cut a couple of them. Hopefully I've made it long enough. If not, it doesn't really matter. And then what we're going to do, so you can see how that really bends nicely. The next thing we're going to do is just join it into a circle like that. I usually use a stapler, but I didn't get one prepared, so you might need to use a stapler. Yes, I have got that on the list of tools you'll need, but you can use sticky tape too. So you might want to prepare these, or you could do this with the kids. If you prepare the strips, they can make the circles themselves. The strip length that you'll need, this strip is probably pretty perfect. This length is, it's about 30 centimetres, I think. Oh, look at that. 30 centimetres. That's probably all you need. It's a bit over. It's about 31, but 30 is fine. So the reason we want to cut it with the grain not only is to have it easily bent like that, it bends really beautifully into a circle. The other reason is that these little corrugations provide holes for us to put the packing strap through. So this is the weaving bit and this is the threading bit. So once you've done that, you then want to cut up this packing strap into about 30 centimetre lengths as well. So I've done that there. And then this is where you might need to help the children by just cutting some little slits in the end here. Probably about 3 or 4 slits. And then this is the bit that they love doing. So you've got to show them how. But you can grab it like this. It's a bit, I use the analogy of the cheese stringer. If anyone's ever eaten a cheese stringer, it's that long cheese that you can strip into little strips. And this is a really satisfying thing to do for kids. You can also do it with curling ribbon, but curling ribbon isn't strong enough for this activity. It's a bit too floppy. But you can see that this is quite tough and it maintains its shape. And as you strip it, it sort of almost turns into a bowl shape, which is exactly the shape we need for the nest. So there it is there. And then once you've stripped up a whole lot of these, you can just do it with you don't have to cut first, but kids sometimes find that a bit difficult. Make sure that the strips aren't too thick that they won't fit into these holes. So the next thing you're going to do, or show them to do, is to push the strips into those holes. And they just thread really beautifully into there. And then you go over the other side and thread that into there, like that. So you end up with something that's starting to look like a nest shape, a bowl shape. You can call them whatever you like. The other thing about this is if you, rather than you put the packing strap in that way, if you flip it around so that it goes in that way and the bend is on the outside of the nest, this might be a bit too technical for them, but anyway, what happens is when you bend this around to go into the other side, it creates this really nice tension because the packing strap sort of wants to go the other way, so it will hold the packing strap in a little bit better. And you'll find that the kids will naturally know what to do. Once they start doing a couple of these, they'll really figure it out, that by going across to the other side, they're creating this really nice nest shape. I'd like to say, here's one I made earlier, but I don't have one I made. I do have one somewhere, but I didn't prepare it. So we keep doing this, building it up, pushing them through. You might want to make some other colours, like strip up some other colours so that the nest becomes really colourful. And the other thing you can do if you want is you can bend these back just by squeezing them. And again, you can show the kids how to do that. They're quite capable of doing that, bending it back, because you don't want them to come back out. You don't want them to fall back out. I'm just going to keep squeezing that. Now you can go for as long or as short as you like with this activity. Obviously, the longer you go, the more material you're going to get across here. And as long as you don't run out of holes in the top of the cardboard, you can just keep going. You can then also weave within this shape here, which is what birds do. If you did get to that point and you wanted to keep going, you could then introduce something like some fabric and weave in and out of these pieces of packing strap like that and just build it up that way and create a nest. The other thing, if you didn't want to do so much of the packing strap and you really just wanted to use some fabric, you can create a nest. I'll just pull them out. You can create a nest just by using a couple more pieces of cardboard as a sort of a weaving frame, if you like. So by doing that, you create the frame like this and use a bit of tape, hold that together. Staples are pretty good to do this as well, like this. And then do another one across the other way, and then use that as a frame to weave with fabric. And then at the end, once everybody's made their nests, you can stick them in a tree, which I have made prepared earlier. If you find a big tree branch, it's really nice to get the kids to sort of put them up in the tree and then again to talk about birds, which is one of my favourite things to do. So I hope you enjoy that. Thanks.